Does anybody actually read the Supreme Court rulings? Spoiler alert. No, nobody actually reads this stuff. I'm going to show you what was actually in the Supreme Court ruling smacking down the Biden administration's employee mandates over vaccines. But first, because I know you want to hear about that, let's go to Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, and her snap response to the Biden administration getting slapped down by this SCOTUS decision. She seemed a little shook up, like she wasn't ready for this ruling. Listen to me. Listen to this. Tell me for yourself if you think she sounded a little upset.
The Supreme Court's decision on the OSHA mandate essentially means that in this pandemic, it is up to individual employers to determine whether their workplaces will be safe for employees and whether their businesses will be safe for consumers.
All right. First of all, that's loaded language. Obviously, that's the Biden administration's perspective. They're suggesting that just flat down the line, this was going to make everything safer. This was going to fix everything. And so therefore, it's now on these employers to do what they want to do. It's always been on the employers. Nothing has been stopping any company out there from doing this with their employees, whether they wanted to check their vax status or whether they wanted to check whether or not they were positive or negative for the tests. And this has not changed in the slightest. What was at risk here was the executive action from the Biden administration saying that this could be done through OSHA, a workplace organization that was going to have control over a broader public health initiative, and a massive one, unparalleled in history at that. That's what was at stake here. These companies could always do what they wanted to do because they own these companies. Of course, that would be based on certain state laws, but for the most part, that's true. She continues now putting more pressure on the employers.
So President Biden, you'll see this in his statement, will be calling on and will continue to call on businesses to immediately join those who have already stepped up, including 1/3 of Fortune 100 companies, to institute vaccination requirements to protect their workers, customers, and communities.
All right, there you go. So that's what the Biden administration is saying. The AP says Supreme Court halts COVID-19 vaccine rule for U.S. businesses. But that's not even actually true. Again, businesses can do what they want to do. This was about the government stepping in and trying to do this as an end run around through OSHA. So many of these people are either uninformed or being obtuse on purpose. Like here is Ellie Mistel, who is a justice correspondent for The Nation. I want everybody to remember that the Supreme Court has said the government doesn't have the authority to make people wear a mask when it later says it does have the authority to force women to give birth against their will. The government does indeed have the authority to make people do all sorts of stuff, but that is done through Congress, not through executive actions on behalf of an administration because they can't get their S together in Congress. That's not how it works. So what did the ruling actually say? Let's read this together. It says the Sixth Circuit concluded that a stay of the rule was not justified. We disagree. They say applicants are likely to succeed on the merits of their claim that the secretary lacked the authority to impose the mandate. Administrative agencies are creatures of statute. They accordingly possess only the authority that Congress has provided. They're saying OSHA does not have this authority. The secretary has ordered 84 million Americans to either obtain a COVID vaccine or undergo weekly medical testing at their own expense. This is no everyday exercise of federal power. They cite a case there and they say it is instead a significant encroachment into the lives and health of a vast number of employees, it continues. We expect Congress to speak clearly when authorizing an agency to exercise power of vast economic and political significance. Now we get a little further in here. The question then is whether the act plainly authorizes the secretary's mandate. It does not. The act empowers the secretary to set workplace safety standards, not broad public health measures. This does not say that Congress cannot do this. This does not say that another organization cannot do this. This says that OSHA, a workplace safety outfit in the U.S. government, is not responsible for creating health codes and authorized to push out health mandates for the entire country. It's beyond the scope of their power, they're saying. So they continue to go on and address many other things here. But here's another important part. This isn't Gorsuch in the concurring opinion. Gorsuch said, "It seems too that the agency pursued its regulatory initiative only as a legislative workaround." You get this? This is a Supreme Court justice flat out saying it seems like this was just done as a workaround. And guess what? Gorsuch is not only right, there's evidence that Gorsuch is right. And I'm going to show you this because it's all out there in the public. Here was a tweet. This is from Stephanie Rule, and she tweeted out, OSHA doing this vax mandate as an emergency workplace safety rule is the ultimate, key phrase, workaround for the federal government to require vaccinations. Now, you can see that is retweeted by Ron Klain. Ron Klain, who the hell is that? Well, he's the White House chief of staff, for God's sake. This is the guy who is running the White House in the Biden administration, and he's admitting there that this was an end around, a runaround, which is why the Supreme Court justice said this was a workaround for them. And they're dead on with that. People didn't take any time to read this or take in what the actual information was. Here's somebody, and I'm always weirded out by this thing now. You're showing on your Twitter profile the precise number of shots that you've gotten over time. Hunter J. Cullen is here. And he says, get ready to take to the streets. Gonna hit the streets out there, baby. One by one, we're gonna make the change here. They're calling for packing the court all over Twitter. There's many people who are saying this. You either pack the court or you either go or pack up and go home. So now this is the move for people who are fairly far left of center. They think that Biden has let them down, and they think the only thing they don't control is the Supreme Court. But the fact is, they do have a majority in the House and the Senate. And if Congress passed something that said this was the law of the land, it would be the law of the land. Congress has that power. The Supreme Court decision today only came after the move to use OSHA to make this point. That's what this was really all about. That's also why they allowed the administration the victory on the federal healthcare employees underneath the government banner. And that's the way I think people should be taking this all in. But they're not, because they're crazy and nobody reads anything and everybody seems absolutely insane half the time. What do you think about all this? Let me know in the comments below. I look forward to seeing what you have on your mind, what you think the White House's reaction was, whether you think people got some of this wrong in terms of how they're suggesting the Supreme Court interpreted the law here, etc., etc. Let me know how you feel, as you always do, in the comments below. If you're new here, facebook.com/thenewsjunkie, hit that follow button. youtube.com/thenewsjunkie, hit subscribe. As always, I appreciate you watching these videos and supporting the show. And we'll talk to you again real soon.